Alright, I'm going to share the basics of Wardley mapping using breakfast burritos. So let's say you have a user, it's me, and I am very hungry. So the need I have is to satisfy my hunger. And in order to satisfy my hunger, I'm going to eat a breakfast burrito. This establishes a pretty clear chain of needs. Ben needs to satisfy his hunger, and in order to satisfy his hunger, he needs a breakfast burrito. Now, if you're a company responsible for providing breakfast burritos, you might care about such things as the ingredients that go into them, maybe the super secret recipes that you have going on behind the scenes, and then, of course, you will have to assemble those burritos. They don't make themselves, you know? And let's get really, deep down into it. If you are trying to make sure that everybody's using the same recipe in all your burrito stores, you probably might have a standard printing process or something else going on there to print standard recipe cards that go out to all your burrito stores. Point is, you can get as deep and detailed as you'd like, but we'll kind of keep it high level right now. So, recap, Ben needs to satisfy his hunger. In order to satisfy his hunger, we need a breakfast burrito. In order to have a breakfast burrito, we need ingredients, a recipe, and assembly. And we just threw in that in order to have standard recipes everywhere in every store, we need some printing to be happening here to print those recipe cards. So this forms a basic value chain. And what makes it a map instead of just a value chain is when we add not just this vertical axis of visibility to the user. So satisfying hunger is more visible to me than, say, the printing that you're using for your recipe cards. I care about that a little bit more. You now add the x-axis as well, which is evolution. And how you tell where something is in terms of evolution is you use the evolutionary characteristic cheat sheet, which has several different characteristics and how they appear and manifest in the different stages. So, for example, in Genesis, user perception is that the thing is different, confusing, and exciting, maybe surprising. In custom, it's leading edge and emerging. In product, it's common and perhaps even disappointing if it's not used or available. And in commodity, it's standard and expected. And you can look at a couple different characteristics, such as how failure occurs. In Genesis, failure is high and tolerated and assumed, whereas in commodity, it's absolutely unexpected and surprising. So using that sort of kind of rubric, you can start sort of seeing where these things go. Assembly for burritos is something that is standard and expected. No burrito company can get away with not providing assembly of burritos. Recipe might be custom. There are probably some burrito recipe products out there. But let's say that in this situation, we have a very special recipe that nobody else knows about. So we'll move that into custom. Printing is totally standard and expected. Just gonna move it over here. And how you go about getting ingredients is also standard and expected. I mean, that's why we have things like the FDA and so on. And generally how you go about procuring ingredients is, there's nothing new happening there right now. So you can do that kind of categorization, and you can say, breakfast burritos are a product, etc. And now you basically have a map. And the thing that's important about maps is what you do with them. So if you were trying to articulate movement across these stages, then a map is useful. Getting to this point, if you've had to articulate which of these things exist and you didn't know that before, then that's useful too. But let's say that we want to make recipes a commodity, recipes for burritos a commodity, so that maybe everyone in the world can have a burrito recipe. Maybe somehow we think that's going to be how we make our money in the future. So we could invest in ways for recipes to become a commodity and shift from custom into that space. But it'll take effort. And so what we're doing is using the map, we're articulating where we're going to focus. The other thing we can do, and there's a lot more, but another quick one is, if we look at our value chain on this map and we say, we seem to be treating printing like it's a custom activity. Like maybe we have a whole bunch of desk jet printers hiding out in our restaurants, and we're printing massive amounts of recipe cards on these goofy little printers. Whereas we could actually be outsourcing that and treating it like a commodity instead of a custom process. We could be outsourcing that to a printing company who specializes in that sort of thing. And so what we've found is a gap between what the rest of the world does, which is outsource it, and what we were doing, which is trying to become experts at printing as a burrito company, which is a questionable thing. I'm not sure I ever want to be buying burritos from an organization that thinks that they are experts in printing when they are also claiming to be experts in burrito making. That's a little confusing. So that's the basics of a map. There's a lot more you can do with it, but this gives you the sort of basic rundown.